In 2017, after being stuck in LA's terrible traffic, Elon Musk formed the Boring Company and came up with the idea of the loop, which promises fast, congestion-free, and zero-emission travel by running Teslas in an underground tunnel. In 2021, Las Vegas opened the first of its kind loop tunnel system under its convention center. Since then, it has been considered a traffic solution by cities across the nation. In 2025, the Boring Company announced its plans to build the Music City Loop in Nashville, Tennessee, which aims to connect downtown with the airport in 8 minutes. The project is already under construction and could be completed as early as fall 2026. At first glance, the loop looks like a high-tech transportation system, but when you actually break it down, it's surprisingly simple. You'll realize it isn't anything fancy at all. It is simply an underground tunnel. And for some reason, they decided to use it to run Teslas as taxis. Tesla Model Y used to operate a system carries 4 to 5 passengers per vehicle, which according to the Boring Company can move 4,400 people per hour. This is not even close to what a light rail can move per hour, and not to mention what it carries compared to a heavy rail or mass transit system, since each Tesla carries far fewer passengers than buses or trains. The only way to move more people is by sending more Teslas into the tunnel. However, this only makes it worse by leading to traffic jams inside the tunnel. In fact, this has been the case many times in the Las Vegas loop during major events. In other words, the loop isn't solving congestion, it's just hiding it underground. Now, to be fair, it seems like they will be switching to what they call robo-vans in the future to increase the capacity, but it still goes nowhere close to what transit can carry, as each of these vans will be carrying around 20 people. And compared to other transportation projects, the loop is 100% privately funded, with no tax dollars spent, which has been framed by many as solving transportation problems through private innovation.
Or no cost, public-private partnerships that can move people fast and safe, which is the project we're talking about today. And I think this is a great way to cut through the red tape, to partner with private sector individuals and companies and move projects really fast.
Unfortunately, we are seeing private money going towards a project like this, instead of a smarter way that can actually solve traffic. So, you may ask, what is the real solution to traffic? Well, that is correct. The real transportation solution is not some fancy underground car tunnel, nor is it self-driving cars. It isn't even flying cars. It is something that we humans invented over a century ago and have been using since then. Subways and trains in general have the capacity to move tens of thousands, if not millions of people, quickly and efficiently. Despite that, cities have fallen for overhyped and so-called high-tech and futuristic solutions with great promises and few outcomes. In Las Vegas, the Boring Company is planning on an expansion of the loop system, while the city is stuck with a single monorail line and minimal plans for transit expansions. In Fort Lauderdale, a loop tunnel between downtown and the beach has been considered. Even in Dubai, a loop system is being built in the downtown area. Countless examples can be found both inside and outside the country. What is more sad is that meaningful transit expansion plans have been forgotten as cities fall for the loop. In Nashville, Tennessee, for the Music City Loop, the city had proposed a pretty ambitious transit plan called Let's Move Nashville, which would construct 5 light rail lines and 4 bus rapid transit lines, totaling over 15 miles. However, this proposal was rejected by voters in 2018. Similar plans have been proposed in the following years, and in 2023, voters approved a tax increase to support a transit plan proposed by Mayor O'Connell, while improvements like street redesigns, bike lanes, and a fare-free bus program for low-income residents were rolled out, which, don't get me wrong, is meaningful. But
O'Connell's plan would not create a light rail system, the hallmark of the much more costly transit plan that Nashville voters turned down 6 years ago.
with massive growth in Nashville and other cities in Tennessee, traffic is only going to get worse, making it more urgent than ever to invest in real transit solutions to ease congestion. The good news is that cities like Nashville and Knoxville already have a robust rail network used by freight trains, which means we don't have to build from scratch if we utilize them for mass transit or commuter rail service. Nashville could use it to revise the light rail plans and expand a single-line commuter rail system. Knoxville has been looking at light rail and bus rapid transit for decades, and it's time to stop talking and get things actually built. Meanwhile,
giant Amtrak released its 2035 rail concept. It connects many parts of the country, mostly in the Northeast and the southern U.S. In Tennessee, we're keeping our existing line through Memphis and add a new line which connect Nashville to Atlanta.
Knoxville appears as an option on a federal map. The New York to Houston line ranks the line as the highest priority.
This will bring passenger rail service back to East Tennessee for the first time since it was cut in 1970. Both of these rails will parallel busy interstates, taking tens of thousands of cars off the road and provide people with an alternative for travel between major Tennessee cities and nearby states. Now, for cities that already have built or are building a loop, what should they do about it? Well, I don't think getting rid of the ones already built or under construction will work. At least it is being built underground and will be replaced with higher capacity vehicles in the future. But that isn't enough. The ultimate solution is to run buses or even trains to get maximum capacity. That will change the whole picture as those modes can carry far more people and will be much more efficient. It will be up to the Boring Company to decide what runs in them. But I hope they realize this earlier rather than later so they can adopt those changes now. And to be clear, this is for the cities that have already built it like Las Vegas or is currently building it like Nashville. For cities that haven't, they should look towards the transit solutions I mentioned earlier. While some cities have fallen for gadget bombs like the Loop, cities like Boston have missed the chance to build transit when they had it. Learn about how Boston lost the opportunity to build a north-south rail in this video.